University. Barry Tramel, the Oklahoman, joins us on 365 Sports. Barry, we have a site that we are under the umbrella. Sikkim365.com has been having a lot of discussion about Colorado for a long, long time. But when you mentioned it last week, it obviously caught some people's attention. And so you just think that the delay in the media deal in the Pac-12 is just creating maybe a few cracks in the armor?
Yeah, we've all been hearing Pac-12 trouble, Pac-12 not going to get a deal done, somebody's coming to the Big 12. We've been hearing that for months. And for the most of that time, I just didn't buy it. I mean, I thought it was possible, but I thought it was unlikely. I just thought the Pac-12 teams, the remaining Pac-12, just have too much in common, too much incentive to not do this. They got such a geographic divide. They got a strong history. I think they wanted to stick together, and I thought they could find enough television money to make it happen. But the longer it goes, and the closer we get to the end of the current Pac-12 package, which is now 13 months away, the less optimistic I've been. And then a couple of weeks ago, someone in the Big 12 said, Colorado's coming, and they're coming soon. And I thought, well, that's interesting, but still not anything I feel like reporting. And then a few days later, we get the multiple reports from, I guess it would have been New York Post and CBS, I think, were the two outlets, reported that ESPN's washing its hands of major commitment to the SEC, and that the Pac-12 package is sort of in turmoil just because the money's going to be significantly less. And I thought, you know what? This makes me feel like it's all the opposite. I mean, I'm now sort of pessimistic that the Pac-12 can hold it all together. So I went ahead and reported that. I still don't think it's for certain, but I do think it's likely now that at least Colorado, and if the Buffs come, I think others will follow. I think it's likely now that Colorado is headed to the Big 12.
Barry, this was a team that was the first actually to leave before Nebraska even when all this went down. Obviously, they have a cultural fit there. Do you think outside of money and stability that this is a good move for them coming back, or does it benefit the Big 12 as much as we may think on the outside?
I actually think it's pretty much a 100% financial decision. I think athletically, it hasn't really affected Colorado any. The Buffs had quit winning in football 5 years before they left. They won the Big 12 North 4 times in 5 years, the last 5 years under Gary Barnett. But after Barnett left, after the 2005 season, they had 5 straight dud years. And I think they were 12-28 their last 5 years in the Big 12 in football. The basketball never was much. In fact, they've been a little better in basketball in the Pac-12 than they were in the Big 12. And I don't even know what else they might have been doing in athletics. So I think this is – and culturally, I think they enjoyed the Pac-12. They were always more of a Pac-12 culture. Academically, politically, socially, all those things. They had a lot more in common with Berkeley than they did Dallas or, those kinds of things. So I think all things being equal, they'd rather be in the Pac. But economically, it's just starting to make not much sense. So I think that's what's driving it. How will they do? Who knows? It's a wild time in Boulder with Deion Sanders. Everybody's excited. I'm of the opinion that Deion's not going to be there very long. If it goes poorly, he's going to be out. If it goes well, he's going to be out. He's going to be the head coach at Florida or Auburn or someplace. So I don't know that anybody, Colorado or the Big 12, should bank a lot on Deion. But I do think economically it's something they might have to do.
Barry, you've seen all sorts of different sagas and chapters of realignment and change and all that. Just kind of a general question here. What do you make of where we are right now? I mean, not only with what's going on with the Big 12 or the Pac-12, but just in general with college athletics. I mean, is this unlike any time you've seen before, or is there perhaps a comparison that you could use to describe kind of what we're seeing at the moment?
Well, I mean, it's probably more of a profound change, what we're seeing, when you see landmark schools. You know, we haven't seen the foundational schools like Oklahoma and Texas or USC, UCLA switch conferences. In the past, it's been Arkansas leaving, going to the Big 12. The SEC. Penn State leaving Independence, or Florida State leaving Independence. Those are not, really profound moves. I guess the previous thing was the breakup of the Southwest Conference, where we went from 6 major conferences to 5. Big East, sort of tried to get in that void and did for a while. So that would be the most common thing, especially if this breaks up the Pac-12. That would be the most likeness, was that breakup of the Southwest Conference. But the one thing to remember is we've always had conference realignment. It's always been with us. Mm-hmm. It's maybe not to the effect we've seen it these last 2 summers and maybe this summer as well, but it's always been with us, whether it's Arizona State jumping to the Pac in the late 70s, early 80s, whether it's Arkansas in 1990, whether it's Nebraska and Colorado, and then Texas A&M and Missouri, whatever the case may be, it's always been with us. It's just it seems to happen a little more frequently now.
Barry, one thing, we appreciate it. The SEC meetings, of course, going on in Destin, and we just had Brandon Marcello on, and he said that Oklahoma, Texas, who was there for them, they feel very comfortable, obviously very happy, and we know there's a big fat check coming with it as well, despite the exit fees. Did you ever find out that when Texas-Oklahoma story, Pop Brent Zerneman had the story, who actually is the one that made the first call about the SEC? Was that Oklahoma or was it Texas? Do you know?
Well, the call would have been to each other. It would not have been to the SEC. I think they called either OU called Texas or Texas called OU, and then they called the SEC. I think what's most likely is OU and Texas were sitting around talking about their financial troubles, which are sort of silly because they got so few financial troubles compared to Baylor and Oklahoma State and Iowa State and Kansas State and everybody else. But their idea of trouble, I think they were sitting around, and I don't know that anybody just hatched the idea of the SEC, and said, let's run with it. I think it's something they probably talked with. But I think they formed a partnership and contacted the SEC. And it was COVID inspired because they got rocked. If you study your American history, Great Depression, the Black Tuesday or Friday or whatever day the stock market crashed in October 29, the most affected people were the rich because they didn't know what to do with that money. The poor sort of learned how to live without money. So I think when they got rocked, everybody got rocked financially. OU and Texas were sort of staggered and didn't know what to do. I think they commiserated with each other and hatched the idea that they could make a lot more in the SEC and called Greg Sankey. I think that's the way it played out.
Barry, thank you. I know you got your own show to do, as you do much with the Oklahoman as well, and what you do in Oklahoma. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it very much.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
Barry Tramel, the Oklahoman, Brandon Marcello.